We have a legend in the fantasy football world joining us, and that is it's actually me.
Where's Bob Harris? Where is
It
he?
is I. No, Michael Fabiano, who's been around for a very, very long time. We're going to get into your journey. I don't even want to say content creation journey because you were doing it before, like the whole boom of social media.
So different now. Yeah, there was no social media.
It's completely different. Like it's you were writing articles.
Yeah.
You were, can you believe that writing?
I was doing. I mean, I'm still doing the writing, but there was no videos. There was no Instagram. There was no social media. There was nothing. Right? I mean, there was nothing like that. And so I remember when I first started. This was back in the early 2000s with Commissioner.com, and they would say, "All right, Fabs, we got a radio hit for you to do." I'm like, "Okay," and I do the radio hit, and I'm like, a little nervous. You know, because I mean, I'm 26 years old. It's the first time I've been doing that kind of thing. I'll never forget the first time I did TV was in Minnesota. And I will never forget that I said that Joe Horn has a great repertoire with Aaron Brooks. It was rapport. I said it wrong. I will never forget that. And
it still haunts you.
It still haunts me to this day. It drives me nuts. So yeah, I mean, it was all writing, going through like online newspapers and getting updates on players for baseball and basketball. I started off doing basketball for the most part. And then, football. I always wanted to do football as like the main sport, but basketball is where I kind of broke in. And yeah, it was literally just online, doing updates for Commissioner.com, writing articles, doing an occasional radio hit, and then all of a sudden it just took off.
Yeah.
And now you're talking about TV. Now, I'm not talking about social media yet. All of a sudden you're doing a little bit of TV. I was lucky enough to be the first fantasy analyst ever on one of the 4 major networks. I did a fantasy football show on CBS with Gus Johnson and Randy Cross. And I look back at that and I don't ever want to see it again because I looked like it was my first time on national television. It's you know what I mean? But like you gotta have to, it's reps.
You get the crap out of your system.
So I went from looking like I was, completely overwhelmed. I'm on national television to doing halftime shows on NFL Network in front of millions of people. And it's like, okay, cool. It's, you know what I mean? It is what it is. But it's been fun because I've been along for the ride for how fantasy football just took off and grew. Because when I got in, it wasn't like huge. And I think the dawn of the internet made it like easier for people to play. They didn't have to worry about going into USA Today like I used to do and get a pen and paper and write down the stats and figure all the stuff out and do math, right? And it was easier, and that really helped to build it up. And I mean, now, look at this. We've got this amazing event in Las Vegas. I got these awesome championship belts from Trophy Smack. It's awesome.
Yeah.
And we have just gone through so much, and it's been amazing to see everything as it has developed and progressed over the 25 years that I've been doing this.
Wow.
Yeah.
So I want to mention the Trophy Smack because actually,
Matt Walsh, maybe.
It was Josh, I think it was his name, Josh Weaver, that came over and was like, which belt should I give him? And he laid out 2 belts, and one looked like the World Heavyweight Championship and one looked like the Intercontinental Championship.
Exactly.
And I said, let me give him the Intercontinental because he's buddies with Mike the Miz Mizanin, who has won quite a few amount of...
you want to hear something funny?
What's up?
Mike used to do NFL Fantasy Live, was at NFL Network. He used to come on a couple times a year. And so we had a matchup one weekend, and I says, all right, dude, you wanna like have a little wager? He's like, yeah, okay. I says, you're coming on the show next week. If I win this week, I get to be the Intercontinental Champion. You have to come on and give that title to me. And I came out dressed like him with the smoke, did his whole like little thing that Mike used to do like back in the day. And so I was the Intercontinental Champion for, I don't know, 5 or 10 minutes. Not really, but it was fun. And it was the old IC belt, the white one that like Shawn Michaels made famous like way back in the day.
Good days, yeah.
Ah, dude, so awesome.
Dude, yes. Well, I know that because I listened to the podcast that you had with Connor Orr recently. Yeah. And you mentioned another punishment that Mike had to do with hold up a sign and say, I suck at fantasy football, but he didn't you didn't say how big I had to write those words, but.
Yeah, he got me there. He got me there. So I beat him. And he was supposed to hold up a sign that said that, I don't remember if it was I suck at fantasy football or something like that, or Michael Fabiano's my fantasy daddy. But he wrote it in the smallest letters possible, so when he posted it on social media, couldn't see what it said. I'm like, you son of a, but I should have, knowing Mike, I should have kind of like had a stipulation in there that you have to be able to read it. Scott Hansen did do it the right way though. Years ago, I did the same thing with Scott, and I beat him, and he did hold up a sign that said that Michael Fabiano's, my daddy in fantasy football, and he stood out in the parking lot at NFL Network way back in the day in Culver City. So Scott, kudos to you.
What a good guy.
Mike, whatever, bro.
Yeah, Scott, righteous man.
The
Miz
best.
is, well, the Miz now has beef with somebody else being named the Miz, so we'll let him deal with his own issues right now that he has. But you've been around for a very long time. When I first started playing fantasy football, it was like 2013, and NFL.com was the platform that I was playing on. And I would always read your Stardom Cinema articles. You were like the first guy that I got invested in. And
I appreciate that.
I love his intellect, his knowledge, his reasoning behind these starts and sits. And then we see the boom, like we mentioned, of content creation. Now everybody can be a fantasy football analyst. I kind of relate to you in the sense of I've been creating content since 2013, but I've seen people that have created content since 2021, 2022, just like take off, like and done really well.
Yeah, it's insane.
Do you feel like, in a sense, in the fantasy community, you've been leapfrogged in some sort of ways, or do you still feel like you're going along with the ride with everybody else?
I've tried to keep up. I mean, I produce videos now. I don't just record videos, I actually produce them.
Oh, wow.
Because I figure I need to know that, because a lot of the younger people are doing that kind of thing. And in a way, like YouTube, I see people, and no offense to them, I don't know who they are, but they have tons of followers, and good for them. That's great, But I think I still earned like the right to be like a destination no matter what. So people are always going to go to see Stardom and Sid'em. There's no doubt about that. No matter where I've been, whether it's been CBS or NFL or Sports Illustrated, like that's always like, my most read article, like no matter what. So I feel like when you've been doing it long enough, and there's a lot of people, like me, that have been around long enough where you become kind of a destination where people are going to go to you because they've gone to you for so many years. But I mean, there's folks out there, again, like, I don't know who they are. I've never heard of them before, but they create something that resonates with people, which is great for them. And so, is it competition? I don't know. No one writes Stardom and Sid'em like I do. And no one writes the original Stardom Sid'em. That's just me, So I think that it's great that we've expanded out and there's just so many voices now. And it's different now, right? It's just like why you look at page views and downloads and that kind of stuff. Like everything's changing now because of Google and AI and how people actually search and all that kind of, it's all changed. Like it's from back in 2000 where I was only doing radio stuff. And then all of a sudden I'm doing a little TV stuff. And all of a sudden I'm on live TV doing a show 5 or 6 days a week. And then it's now social media where you're doing videos on there. It just keeps like progressing and progressing and progressing to the point now where there's just, like you said, who doesn't have a podcast? And I'm not just talking about fantasy sports. I mean, there's podcasts about everything.
This guy, like everybody has one,
Everybody's
right?
got a podcast. Everybody does, right?
Right.
So, I don't really see it as, being leapfrogged or anything like that. I just think there's just more people out there who are creating content, and a lot of times, not for nothing, a lot of it's very duplicative. It's the same kind of stuff. Like you're looking at the same numbers, you're looking at the same matchups, you're looking at this player against this defense. So a lot of it is just, it's kind of similar.
Yeah, it's based off of, I guess, what your cup of tea is, like the personality, the opinions. Like,
right.
If you love the guy or the girl that's talking about it, then you're just gonna go towards them. But yeah, like you said, the content is all there, all the matchups are the same.
I would say this, I don't think that I would be where I am or have done what I've done without having personality. You can listen to some people out there and then be like, this week, Nico Collins is facing this cornerback, and this cornerback has allowed this many yards per run. Like, it is like robotic, okay? It's like every Star Wars movie after the first 3. It's just very wooden and boring, you know what I mean? Are you a Star Wars guy?
No, but I listened to the podcast
my God,
where you were talking
dude.
about Disney's, like George Lucas, beautiful, right?
Well,
then Disney's, it's like
the first 3, but then after that, the dialogue is very wooden and kind of like what? It's like Anakin Skywalker is fighting to the death with Obi-Wan Kenobi, And and Obi-Wan Kenobi is questioning why he has changed, and Anakin goes, "From my point of view, the Jedi are evil." Like, it's the stupidest, most wooden line in the world, where you're fighting for your life in a pit of lava. And so there's like some people out there, like, no matter what it is, it's like, if you're just spewing out stats, it's freaking boring, man. Like, and not everybody can get in front of a camera or be on a podcast or be on radio, whatever it is, and be entertaining and informative. So I like to think that I kind of can mix a little bit of the two.
Yeah.
And so I think that's helped. And then just the great people that I've met over the years, and I think that's also been, cool too, to be able to bring celebrity into the world of fantasy, which I've really tried to do a lot over the years. Obviously, between like the celebrity leagues that I do and stuff, like right now we're doing a thing for Sports Illustrated. If you sign up for my SMS or my newsletter, you get entered into a contest to play in a fantasy league with me and Michael Bublé. Yeah, that guy, the crooner, my buddy, and Adam Ray, who is a great comedian who's got his own show on Netflix, right? So you can actually do that if you want to. The contest is running until, I think, the end of next week. And then we'll pick 10 winners, and they'll get to play against us. And if you win, you get this, maybe not this particular belt, but a belt from Trophy Smack, and you can go out and say that I beat Fabs, Bublé, and Ray in a fantasy football league. So
since we're on the plug, where do we go? So Sports Illustrated,
just go to
SI.com?
Just go to SI.com, SI.com/fantasy. The draft gets up there. You'll be able to find it, or just go to my social media, because it's all over the place, Instagram, TikTok. Yeah, so you'll be able to find it pretty easily. Yeah,
I love that. Well, you mentioned personality, and I mean, just from this interview, you had lots of personality. And actually on Twitter, you have some personality as well, because we actually met last night.
Yeah.
Asked if you'd be able to do this interview. And I said, hey, one of the things I really respected about you is your stance on kickers in fantasy football. And
yeah.
How amazing is it that when you went on a rant last night about it with me, and then I get on Twitter this morning and I see you rant about it. So I don't know what I invoked in you to go on Twitter.
Here's the thing. It was a combination of that and somebody on Twitter, I guess he's like in the fantasy football space. Like I am so bad with people's names. I don't know who it is. But the tweet was basically like, if you still use kickers, you're in a Mickey Mouse league. So number one, stop being an elitist jerk and don't tell me how to play fantasy football. Okay, like, kickers are a part of the game. Kickers were very important back in the early days of fantasy football in the Gapo leagues, right? I mean, way back, like this was back in the 60s. George Blanda was a fantasy star. Why? Because he was not only a quarterback, but he was a kicker. And so if you take away kickers, you can't call it football. Okay?
Facts.
Because no one, I mean, come on. And kickers, like, especially these days, people should be gravitating to Brandon Aubrey, who's been awesome, to Kaimi Fairbairn. Jason Myers was a stud last year. Kickers are bombing like 70-yarders. And by the way, Cam Little, who's the kicker for the Jags, who has bombed 70-yarders in his career, he replied to that post with something I can't say on the show. It was, I think, 5. It was basically
SYBAU?
It was that it? Did you see it?
Yeah, but that is also a burner Cam Little account. I will also say that Cam Little GOAT.
Oh, it was in the real Cam Little.
That's not that. I got stooped a long time ago by something else.
I thought it was.
Cam Little said this, but it's actually like a fan account, kind of like Drake May Lover.
Okay.
It's the same thing.
I got stooped too then. But anyways, they are very. I mean, listen, when Aubrey's better than all but 5 tight ends, and he's better than all but 15 running backs, and he's better than all but 18 or 20 wide receivers, and he's all but, in the top 35 among flex players. You want to get rid of that position? Like, okay, yeah, it can be hard to predict. Did you predict Justin Jefferson was going to be a bum last year? No. Everything is hard to predict in fantasy football, right? We all know Bijan's going to be great every year. We all know Jahmyr Gibbs is going to be great every year. Oh, but by the way, we all thought Justin Jefferson was going to be great every year too. And last year he wasn't. Not because of him, but because of the quarterback situation. So it's all hard. So I don't think predicting kickers is any more difficult than predicting the 4th, 5th, and 6th tiers of running backs.
Yep.
Right? I mean, like, who's going to get the most carries in Chicago this week? Is it Swift or is it Manan guy? I don't know. I'm just going to take a guess. It's all the same. The same thing with defenses.
Something that I picked up on that you always talked about was, in your Stardom Cinema articles when you talked about kickers, was like, how many field goals is this team giving up? So I combined field goal attempts given up per game for a defense that they're facing, and I add that with field goal attempts per game that they're given.
Right.
So like someone like Michael Fabiano, who D'Amico Ryans, like on a 4th and 1 will kick a field goal.
Right. Yep.
You know, so he's averaging 2 to 3 field goal attempts per game, and he's facing like, I don't know, it varies per year, but like say for instance the Jets, and they give up like 2 or 3 field goal attempts per game. Michael Fabiano's in line for a monster game, and like people say, well, it's unpredictable. Just look at those 2 stats. That's like at the baseline, and just go from there. Yeah, it's random at times, but no, there's a strategy.
Fantasy football, there's a lot of randomness.
Yeah.
I mean, there really is. I mean, I loved Drake May going into last year. Did I think he was going to be a QB2 in fantasy? No. I mean, there's a lot of randomness like that. There's going to be quarterbacks this year that are going to get drafted beyond round 10 who are going to be in the top 10.
And there's a lot of randomness in the media world as well, especially with the fantasy football world. I would say actually on-air analysts, a lot of turnover with like people going from like NFL to like ESPN to NBC to now Sports Illustrated. When it comes to that turnaround, why do we see that so much? I know ESPN has laid off a lot of people. Like, what is it about the broadcasting world?
It is... I am blessed to have been able to do what I've done for 25 years. I hope to do it for another 25 years, right? It's a brutal industry, man. I mean, no matter who you are, you have scars. I have scars. You know, I mean, like with the NFL Network, COVID hits, my contract's up. Most of the people whose contracts was up during COVID didn't get brought back, right? No fault of their own. A pandemic hit us, or didn't. I don't know. I guess you can...
Let's ask Mr. Rogers.
You can ask. So that kind of thing happens. And then there's changes in the industry. And then advertisers are not advertising solely with these sites anymore because now they can advertise with, Jake Paul on a podcast. Or they can go and give money to a social media influencer like Alex Earl, whoever it is, right? And so all of a sudden the advertising dollar goes down and they're not making as much money. Who suffers? The employees.
Right.
And that's how it is. And so it's not so much about like the turnaround in that, well, we're getting rid of these people to replace them with other people. It's we're getting rid of people. And we're going to kind of do, what we have in house. And those people will either find jobs at other places or won't. And I'm a lot of people that I know have, bounced around. I was with CBS for almost 6 years, left for the NFL. I was there for over 15 years. And now, Sports Illustrated, it's coming on like, 6 or 7 years? So, I'm proud of that. In the, Sirius XM, I'm Westwood One. I've been doing Westwood One for over 20 years. So, I don't know that it's so much like that there's turnaround in terms of like companies are just getting rid of people who maybe aren't doing the job. And I mean, in some cases, I'm sure that's the case. But it's also just the industry's changing. And where the money comes is changing. And companies are spending, how much money does Pat McAfee and Stephen A. Smith make for ESPN? Right? They got to pay those guys. And unfortunately, other people, may pay the price by losing their job because they're putting their money into these big names who have major influences across, all mediums. And it's not just sports. I mean, I have friends who are actors and they're looking at AI and they're like, it is phenomenal.
Even influencers, like...
Yes.
They have turned into actors, or they can grab influencers that don't have acting experience.
The kid who did Obsession.
Yeah.
He was a YouTube guy. That movie's one of the great money makers of all time.
Gosh.
Have you seen it?
I haven't. My wife refuses to watch it because she hates horror movies, but she loves like the idea of that movie.
I love horror movies.
Which maybe that scares. I should be scared for that, but no, I haven't seen it.
Bro, it's so good. I love horror movies. Like there's other things beyond fantasy football that I'm into. Horror is one of them. It's amazing.
Yeah.
It's literally one of the best horror movies I've seen in the last, 10 years. My mom was like, and I'm a kid, 8 years old, 9. I want to watch American Werewolf in London. No, you're going to get scared. You're not going to sleep. I'll be all right. Let me watch it. No, you're not going to watch it. Mom, I want to watch. It's on tonight. You want to watch it? Go ahead and watch it. I watched it. It scared the shit out of me. And I didn't sleep. And my mother's like, I don't care. I told you, but I've always been into horror movies like as long as I can remember.
Worth it, 100% worth it.
But it's all of entertainment. It's everything. Like the industry is changing. Social media was the beginning of something, and now AI is the beginning of something else.
Well, you're killing it right now in Sports Illustrated, which is awesome. I hope you continue to do great things and make some great predictions as well. Which I kind of want to go into that. Fantasy football predictions for the season. This is pre-draft.
Yeah.
give us like your hot takes or like those guys that you're really riding with, like. And I'm not talking about like you're just looking at the consensus rankings and like I'm just moving this guy up 2 spots. I'm talking about no, I would be willing to. I'm not going to, but I have him ranked like 4 or 5 rounds ahead of ADP. Who are those guys?
So the thing is that everyone's hurt right now. It's crazy. I have never seen this many injuries in August in my life. But 2 of the dudes that are hurt, I love Emeka Egbuka. I think he could be a low-end wide receiver 1 this year. He's got the toe. I don't think it's serious. We'll find out. Luther Burden. I freaking love Luther Burden. He's got an injury too, but he's supposed to be ready for week 1. Maybe it's going to be a slow start. Same thing with the Bears. Now, Colston Loveland, everyone's drafting that guy pretty highly, so I don't think I'm much higher on ADP. But some of the other players that I've moved Jonathan Brooks up. I've moved Bashal Tutin up. I may be a little higher on Jackson Dart than some other people. Even though, he's a guy that people are drafting probably 8th or 9th round. I'd rather have him than Patrick Mahomes all day long. And last year, that would have been crazy if you came out and said something like that, right? So there are also players like that I'm trying to get late. Casey Concepcion. I'll throw a dart at that kid, right? I'll throw a dart at Malik Washington because somebody's got to catch passes in that offense in Miami. They're going to have to throw the ball at least a little bit, right? So there's other players that Isaiah Likely, he's not getting drafted as a tight end 1. But when I look at John Harbaugh and like his tendencies and his offenses under his offensive coordinators over the years, what's been, the quarterback's been normally very productive. 1 wide receiver's been pretty productive. The running back's been productive, and the tight end's been productive. So, I look at that kind of thing too. Speaking of like a guy like Malik Willis, I think Malik Willis could be a top 12 quarterback this year because of the running chops.
But it might be like Justin Fields, where it's like 1 week could be 25, another week could be 6.
It's possible, yeah. But you also can look back at some other quarterbacks who didn't have the skill set of. I always bring up Tim Tebow. I could throw a better ball than Tim Tebow. Well, maybe not after shoulder surgery, but you get the point. Tim Tebow was a startable fantasy player. Why? Because he ran with the ball, right? And I think the Dolphins are going to be behind a lot. What are they projected for? 4 wins? I think the over-unders are at 4.5, something like that. I think Arizona's the lowest at like 3.5. So, Miami's going to be playing from behind a lot, which means that Willis is going to have to try and make some plays, right? Maybe it's a lot of garbage time stuff. But if you look at his average rushing yards per game in his starts, it's in the mid-40s. Over a 17-game schedule, you're looking at 700 yards rushing. And if you're a quarterback and you rush for 700 yards, you're going to be in the top 12. Like, he could throw for 2,300 yards, 15 touchdowns, and 11 interceptions. If he rushes for 750 yards and 5 touchdowns, he's going to be in the top 12.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
Early on, people said the same thing about Jalen Hurts. I think it was 2021 was like his breakout fantasy season, and people were like, oh, Jalen Hurts is awesome, but it's like when you really looked at him playing the game, it's like, okay, now he's elevated himself and he's gotten a lot better. But like in that 2021 season, it's like, oh, we see a lot of flaws as like a quarterback, but like the same thing with Malik Willis.
Dude, Blake Bortles.
Yeah.
Blake Bortles was a top 10 fantasy quarterback at least 1 or maybe 2 years in his career. I think he may have been in the top 5 1 year.
2015 was his biggest season,
Was Blake Bortles a good quarterback? No, he was not. Okay? Tim Tebow was not a good quarterback, and you started to be a fan. I remember I started Terrell Pryor 1 year when he played quarterback for the Raiders, and he rushed for over 100 yards.
Yes.
I will always tell people this story. Years and years ago, I won a fantasy football championship with Billy Volek. Okay?
Wow. Throwback.
Backup quarterback, man.
Was it when he was on the Titans? Or okay, yeah.
So like, weird stuff happens, right? I won a quarterback. I won a fantasy championship with Matt Moore 1 year. Remember Matt Moore?
Yes.
He's playing for the Dolphins. He had to start for them late in the season. He had a really good matchup. I don't remember if my quarterback was hurt or what the case was, but I had to just roll the dice.
And
he was good enough. I won.
I love it. No, a couple people have said Bashal Tutin before. Actually, Dave Kluge, he said Chris Rodriguez. He flipped it around, I guess. So I guess everybody's split on that. But no, I love your picks. And there's actually one more thing that I wanted to do with you. So what I've been doing is, for everybody that has hopped on for an interview, I've been doing a mock draft. Okay. I'm drafting from the 101. I'm doing 12-team, half PPR.
Okay.
And I'm having everyone just pick one person. So Austin Eckler went first. He had the first pick.
Who did he take? Did he take Christian McCaffrey?
How'd you know?
because I am friends with Austin, and I talked to him about this earlier in the day.
Yep. So this is the board right now. So we got Christian McCaffrey, and the second Kluge took
Austin.
Neighbors, and then my buddy Faraz Siddiqui took George Pickens.
Okay.
And I'm not going to give any context because like all these guys were like, okay,
is this like full point PPR? Like what are we talking about here?
It's half
PPR. Okay.
So feel free to skim around.
Yep.
At the end of the turn on the 4. You know.
See, I'm looking. The first guy I'm looking for is Ibuka, and did he get drafted already? Yeah, he did. He got drafted already.
Okay.
So this team that has the first overalls got CMC, and then Neighbors, which I mean Neighbors has moved up, since camp opened, and we've seen him actually look decent, and then Pickens. So really, I will never draft a quarterback this low, this high, unless it's super flex. I will never draft a tight end this high. I'm just not going to do it. So it's either going to be best available wide receiver or best available running back for me, and that's what I would do. So when I look at what's available at running back right now, there ain't one player that excites me, bro. Not one. Not one. You know who excites me? Luther Burden.
You gonna lock it in?
I'm going Luther Burden, man.
Do it. Awesome.
Ibuka wasn't there, so I couldn't take him.
Yeah.
But listen, man, I preach and practice what I preach, and so I will go with Luther Burden there.
Well,
at the turn, because then you got the 5th pick, and then you could take that second running back, which I would probably end up. I mean, geez, Louise, it might be Swift at that point. There's not much left out there. It might be DeAndre Swift. Take a couple of Bears in a row. I don't hate having 2 guys in Ben Johnson's offense.
The crazy thing about this is like I don't give any context of like who somebody else wants because Kluge wanted the 3rd round to be Nico Collins.
Okay.
And I was like, I'm not gonna even mention that. He said, no, mention it. I'm like, no, I'm not gonna even.
Okay.
So it's gonna be completely random. Let's see if it's a team that strangers are just picking together.
Yeah.
Teamwork prevails. Let's see if that happens.
That's cool.
Yeah, but hey, Michael, I appreciate the time. This is like honestly a dream come true. Because
dude, stop it, man. Come on.
I've followed you for a very long time.
I appreciate it, bro.
This is awesome, man.
I appreciate it, man. And it's people like you that make it all worthwhile. And that's why I'm hoping I get another 25 years in this industry, man.
Yeah.
Imagine, I'm 53 right now, dude. I started doing this when I was 26.
78, 25 years?
Bro.
You would be kicking. Come on.
I mean, geez, though, I'm Italian, so
Oh, okay,
sometimes good genes, maybe don't look 53 when I'm 75. If I'm still doing fantasy football at 75, there's a problem.
Yeah, that might be a sad life.
But hey, listen, man, you got guys out there who've been doing this for a long, long time across the spectrum.
Yeah.
Who are in their late 60s. Bob Harris, where's Bob Harris? He's in his mid 60s,
we gotta bring him on. Yeah.
He's in his early to mid 60s. He's still, kicking ass and taking names.
Yeah.
So I'm just gonna keep doing it as long as I can.
Well, I'll be watching regardless. Michael, appreciate the time.
All right, my brother.